Hey guys, it's Rich with your Monday Spot on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about is it okay in your path? This week's topic comes from Jenni B, who writes, the main questions I keep seeing in some of the groups that I'm in is it okay questions? Is it okay to buy my own tarot deck has been one coming up a lot recently. Is it okay to have a temporary altar? Is it okay to keep my altar in a box, cupboard, particular room? One that really boggled my brain was, is it okay to cut my own hair? It might be interesting to have the host answer the general question of, is it okay within their tradition? Most of the time, people who ask these sorts of questions in the groups will get answers, yes, if it works for you, or yes, if it isn't hurting anyone. I don't know if there is much difference between the answers people would get from traditions represented on the channel, but it seems to be a common anxiety out there for a lot of people. Okay, this is something that I can actually really relate to because whenever I first started as a Christo-pagan, I started out as a Christian Wiccan or a Christian witch, and there were a lot of questions of, is it okay that I am a Christian and a pagan, or a Christian and a witch at that time, or a Christian practicing Wicca? And please excuse, I'm at work. Please excuse the computer over here. It keeps on beeping because one of the alarms is tripping and we need to get it fixed. There's just a short or something like that. Anyway, so if you hear the beeping, please ignore that. Anyway, this is a question that I've had a lot in my practice of, is it okay that I do this? Is it okay that I do that? Is this type of working, a working that I'm able to do? Is that all right? Isn't there a standard for how to do this type of ritual or this type of spell or this type of practice? Isn't there a standard set way of doing it? Me coming from a military background and from Christianity is, there's always a set way. There is always a standard of how you perform something. And if you're not performing it to that standard or within those confines, then you're doing it wrong. So for me, really getting out of that mindset of, hey, it's okay, I can do what I want, is even still a challenge for me. I still feel that in my practice that I need to have a set method of doing something. This can even go to when I was in Korea and I completely pared down my my ritual to basically sitting in a meditative state and doing everything at an in the astral plane, or doing everything energetically and not really having any of the stuff. So that's something that even then I had a set way that I would do everything. I would still cast circle. If I wanted to cast circle, I would cast circle around me without walking around. I would call the quarters, without going to each individual quarter. It's basically, sitting there and saying, okay, element of air, come on in, be a guardian, be here for my practice, be here for this ritual. And I would go around and do each element. And for me, that was still something that I did, but I didn't do to the effect of, walking around the entire room and lighting candles and all that stuff, because I couldn't necessarily, depending on the day and the time and the area that I was in. I had little electric candles and whatnot. And as far as the altar, you can have an altar anywhere you want. You can have a portable altar. You can have an altar that you travel with. And I've done videos on that. I have a lot of stuff that I like to take with me. Now that I'm going every every month down to Delaware, I don't necessarily take an altar with me every single time because it does take time and it's not something that I do every single day where it warrants having to take a whole altar with me. So I may just go down there and I may take some beads with me. I may take, a tarot deck. I usually take at least 2 tarot decks. One that I always actually is right behind you guys, propping you up. I always have with me is at least 1 tarot deck, just in case I need it. So even whenever it comes to the altar and everything, I don't always take that stuff with me. If I travel, and there goes that beeping again. If I travel, I might just take a tarot deck and some prayer beads, usually a rosary or a mala bead set, sometimes both. Sometimes I'll take stones with me, and I'll just keep those in a little side pouch of my suitcase, just in case I need them, or just in case I want to do a quick on the fly ritual, or send up some prayers, or do some chanting or something like that. Then I can do it. If all else fails, being a smoker still, I still have lighters with me all the time. There's nothing preventing me from taking a piece of paper and writing something down and doing a petition. So I can always do that. So I can always do my spell work even on the fly if I need to. So is it okay to not have an altar at all? Yes. Is it okay to have a traveling altar? Yes. Is it okay to have one in a cupboard that you can close away? Yes. Is it okay to have an altar room? Absolutely, and I love seeing them. Actually, I like seeing altars of all kinds. You can have your altar literally in your book of shadows. Computer, will you shut up? I'm making a video. You can actually have a whole altar in your book of shadows. You can put your entire layout in there, so whenever you open the book, you have everything represented there. You turn to the direction that you usually like to have your altar facing, or that correspond with the elements in their layout for your tradition. And then whenever you symbolically light the candle, you can symbolically light that candle and call that quarter and whatnot. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. I have seen books of shadows where they have matron and patron on opposite pages, so they can have that book open, and that's their iconography for their ritual. So you can definitely do that. Is it okay to buy your own tarot deck? Absolutely. I've bought all my tarot decks. I don't think I've had one that was gifted to me. And if I do have one that's gifted to me, I can't remember. Take that back. I think I do have one tarot deck that was gifted to me. It was a Rider-Waite-Smith. A guy that I know was at Goodwill. He was going through the Goodwill bins and all that, because that's how he scavenges for stuff to sell. And he knows that I like tarot decks. So I told him, I said, anytime you see one, pick it up. Don't care. So he's always getting them for me. Sometimes he finds a complete deck. Sometimes he finds where it's missing 1 or 2 cards. Doesn't matter. I'll still use them somehow. So can you buy your own tarot deck? Absolutely. Can you still get great readings out of it? Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know where that particular wives' tale or myth came from, that you can't buy your first tarot deck. That one boggles my mind. I don't know the whole, is it okay to cut my own hair? It's your hair. So, let's see. So yeah, basically, whenever it comes to asking the question, is it okay? And does it pertain to as it pertains to your tradition, or your practice in general? The things to consider when asking, is it okay, is why would it not be okay? What could go wrong? Why do you want to do it in that manner. So, for instance, is it okay to buy my own tarot deck? Why do I think it wouldn't be a good idea? Why do I think, let's see. What do I think will happen if I buy my own deck? What are the reasons to not buy my first deck? What are the reasons to buy my first? And then you start filtering all of this, is it okay question, this bigger, broader, is it okay question. You start filtering it through all these questions. So what you end up doing is you take this bigger, is it okay question, and you filter it through all of these questions to come to a logical end result of, for me, would it be okay to do that? So for me, would it be okay to buy my own tarot deck? My first tarot deck, let's say. Why wouldn't I buy my first tarot deck? Because I'm not sure what I like. I'm not sure what all is out there. I'm not sure if I'm getting ripped off. Okay, what would happen if I buy my first tarot deck? Well, I could be disappointed. I could spend too much. I could get a faulty product. I could, let's see, what else could happen? I could get something that I really don't want, but thought I wanted at the time. The whole FOMO, fear of missing out. I got it because it seemed like the cool thing to do, and I got it, and then I don't know what to do with it now. So, reasons not to buy your first tarot deck. Reasons to buy your first tarot deck. I know what artwork I like. I know what symbology calls to me. I know how much I'm willing to spend on this. And if I'm not out of the broom closet, it's pretty hard to tell somebody that you want a tarot deck for your next birthday or Christmas or, gift giving holiday of sorts. It's hard to tell somebody that if you're not out of the broom closet, or you're not telling people that you're thinking of, starting to read tarot, or, at least figuring it out. So, reasons that you would buy your own tarot deck. So, and then you would filter those through, and you'd make the decision, you know what? I know what type of artwork that I like, so the whole fear of not getting the right artwork, yeah, I can look at that stuff online first. The whole price point thing, I can see what the normal selling price is, stuff like that. So you end up filtering all those through, and then you end up making an educated decision on whether or not this is a good step for you. For me, it was a good step. Have I gotten decks that I'm not so wild about? Yes. Have I gotten some decks that I am completely crazy about? Yes. And then there are some that are just like, they're fine. But overall, in your practice, if you're asking your question of, is it okay for this or that? Is it okay to do this love spell? Start asking those hard questions. Why do I need to do it? Why? What would I want my final result to be? And is there another way to get about that result rather than doing this? Asking questions like that. Is it completely necessary? Is it something that has to be done? Is it something that that I'm doing just because I want what I want? Am I being selfish? Am I impeding on somebody else's will? Those types of questions you end up asking yourself, and give yourself about 10 to 15 questions if you need that many. And then answer those questions, and by the time you're done answering those questions, you should be pretty, and if you're honest with yourself, you should be pretty sure what your answer should be of, is it okay? So I think that's all that I have for this week. I'm sorry I'm a little low energy this week. I found out that a friend of mine died yesterday, so not really a great day for me. Kind of low energy day. Kind of just want to go back home, go to bed. So, um, but yes, I do like this topic. It is a topic that I've had um, a lot of struggles with in my own practice. So I do like to answer this question, and I do appreciate this question. So we have a topic next week, and then it's subs week. So until next week, may you guys have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye bye.